Gatsby, aka the man who questions, here on Twitch. Welcome to Inspirational Men and Insane Women, and you're neither of that. You're an inspirational. No, wait, sorry. Inspirational women and insane men. You are not insane. You're an inspiration, and you're a very fascinating guy, and I'm really glad to have you on the show here. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Oh, this is great. John, you are a man of many titles, but you prefer to go as a behavioral intervention specialist?
Correct.
Can you give us a little bit of an example, or give a little? What does that mean? And then can we apply it to me shotgunning White Claws in a parking lot last night? Because I need I have issues.
Of course. So the big difference, or the way to approach what is a behavioral interventional specialist. So my big focus is on behavior. So what can we actually do that's different? So for instance, like, there are some people that you'll go to and you'll have a conversation with them about, here's my trouble and I feel this way about it. And you end up kind of just like talking about the story of the feelings over and over again. And there's a usefulness in that, right? There's some catharsis, and there is sometimes a use in being able to kind of get perspective that maybe you didn't have before. But at the end of the day, when you want to move forward, the question is what do I do? And a big part of what I look at is like, what are the actual tangible things that you can do? So when I'm talking with someone, it's about figuring out, what direction, where do you want to go? And then maybe what are some of the obstacles in your way? And then really drilling down to figure out, if this is an obstacle, what's actually underneath the obstacle, if that makes sense.
So no, absolutely.
It's action focused.
And what kind of behaviors do you focus on? Do you like the crazy hard drugs guys, or is it more just like day-to-day actions, goal setting, and or is it all behaviors?
It's a little bit of everything. I mean, I can tell you where this kind of comes from. So I worked with at-risk youth for 7 years in a residential treatment center. I worked with some kids who had some really intense behaviors, and then I later moved on and worked as an emotional behavioral specialist in the school system as well. And so what I discovered is that adults are no different than kids. And oftentimes what happens is that when you get stuck as an adult, it's usually because there was a skill deficiency, from your childhood that we kind of missed, right? Mm-hmm. And so what ends up happening is that you kind of move through life and you miss some of these, important skills. And so it all kind of depends on what it is that's tripping you up and where you need to go. So I think certainly there are times, it's possible that I might come across a particular behavior or a problem that might be outside of my scope of practice, but we would identify that, and I would be able to support you in the areas in which I can support you, and then I would refer you on elsewhere to someone else, depending on what you need. So I have like a continuum of intervention, and sort of on the one end, you've got like your doctor, your physician, your psychiatrist. On the other end, you've got your friends, right? So you've got a problem that you're not sure what to do, you call a friend. I'm right in that middle. So we need someone who's, has a bit of a different approach, has an outside perspective, and I have a little bit of freedom there to kind of get creative and figure out what might help. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. And well, it's interesting that you said that you get creative as well, because you seem to bridge the traditional intervention strategist or with astrology and tarot cards and more of the mystics of which I think is very interesting as well, and that you do a lot of that on your show.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. Like I have a lot of respect, for your more conventional secular interventions. However, both through personal and professional experience, I've come to the conclusion that when you're running an equation and you want a different answer, what's essential is that you plug new information into that equation. And a big part of that is about being able to take people and put them in circumstances where they're able to step outside of themselves and kind of see the world from a different perspective. And what I love about, say, for instance, tarot and astrology and some of the other things in my back pocket is that that's exactly what they do. Now, I'm not trying to sell anyone on the esoteric objective reality of these things. My interest is in the truth, but the truth as it relates to what is useful. And if you're wanting to move somewhere in your life, if you're wanting to get there and you're feeling stuck and you're not sure, does it really matter, where we hang our hat? Like, look, if Dumbo's magic feather gets you to the other side, then let's grab on tight and fly, And of course, that's not to say that the things that I use are I don't want to denigrate tarot, because I have my personal beliefs as it relates to those things, but I also have a sensitivity as a recovering atheist, that sometimes they're a little esoteric, and it's hard to kind of understand, well, like, do the planets really affect my life? You know what? It's not relevant. If talking about the planets affecting your life moves you forward, then it's useful, and that's why I throw it in there.
Yeah, I've recently kind of changed my, before I thought tarot cards was just an excuse for your girlfriend to cheat on you or something like that. That's what I thought. I thought it was just bullshit. But now, I've kind of I got some tarot card readings and I've been more into it. And yeah, it's not gonna give you the answer, but if it guides you in a way that maybe helps you choose the right answer, then it's just as valid as praying to God or something. You know what I mean? That's
exactly.
Yeah. So
it's like any good piece of art, right? Or any symbol, a movie, a comic book, graphic novel, even the jewelry that we wear, right? These symbols orientate us they orientate us in our experience, and they kind of direct us. They tell us what's meaningful and how to pursue it. And the tarot, at the very least, if we take all of the mysticism out, which I like to keep some of it in, but if we take it all out, what we're looking at is 78 images that have the ability to act as mirrors and reflect back to us some of the things that are maybe going on underneath the surface. And you couple that with other sort of more conventional interventions. Like I'm a hypnotherapist as well, and I also do motivational interviewing. And so we kind of try to move seamlessly in and out of those things depending on where a person is. See, the problem with conventional interventions is that the human beings aren't rational, right? So we can sit about and talk about cognitive behavior therapy and all or nothing thinking and all those sorts of things, and you can recognize that having obsessive thoughts is crazy. It doesn't stop the thought, and it doesn't stop the emotions connected to them. See, we're emotional, and the language of emotion is symbols, and so that's why I use these different tools, is that you're learning to speak to that emotional side of the mind, and ideally find a way to kind of quiet it.
That I'm glad you brought that up, because I tried to dive into, now I can't say this word, you got to help me. Western
esoterism?
Esoterism, not terrorism. How do you say it?
Western esoterism.
Yeah, so I was reading that today. It's a lot of big words, a lot of hard words, but my summary was that conveying messages and ideas through metaphors and symbols, and that's your focus. That's what draws you into tarot reading. It's looking at these other symbols to guide you in life, not as the full guide, but just if these symbols help you, as long as the symbol's not a swastika, I guess, but as long as these symbols bring some meaning to your life, then they're just as valid. I was talking to Deep Mindfulness. He's a great Twitch streamer, and I asked him about essential oils, because I'm like, those things are just bullshit. But he said, hey, if you put them in your house and all of a sudden you feel like your life's better, then they're real.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Is like, we're going to do what works. And I think that, so Western Esotericism, I love how you summarize that, because that's a great explanation. But if I was to if I was to dumb it down, Western Esotericism is the exploration and the study of magic. So, my degree was in, like I said, comparative religious studies, and we watch things like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and all these sort of fantasy things, and there's all these references to things like magic spell books and stuff. And I didn't realize this growing up until I kind of really threw myself into it. But all of that has there's historical backing behind that, and it was a worldview. So Western Esotericism is a combination of Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, alchemy, right, which is in the pursuit of the great work, so the idea of turning lead into gold, which is both a tangible sort of thing, like in terms of they were really trying to turn lead into gold, but also the transformation of the self, right? So how do you take wherever it is you are in life and make your the purification of the soul? And then Hermeticism, which is sort of this weird mixture of ancient Greek thought and a bunch of other religions. And so it's not that I'm experimenting here and trying to transform things into gold, at least that I'll admit. But it is more about understanding that worldview. It's the worldview that led to the scientific revolution. So it was an incredibly creative melting pot for all of these different ideas, and then we used it to discover the scientific revolution, and then we threw the baby out with the bathwater. We
tossed it out. Yeah, like I think about the Babylonians. They took this astrology shit for extremely seriously, and then we just throw it away. Yeah, that's interesting, because do you feel like, so you studied religion, and then you became a hardcore atheist from my research, right? And then you kind of...
I started as an angry atheist.
Angry atheist, yeah.
Kind. That was the worst kind.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting that once somebody finds like what they think is the answer, then right away they want to cast away everything else. And is that what happened in your case? Like when you kind of... I think... Did you get caught up in the atheism wave of like 2006 or whatever it was? Remember when that was like... It was really big?
So, I had some unpleasant experiences with organized religion, and it left a rather poor taste in my mouth. And it not in a kind of direct way, but it was more a case where I saw that it was more about exclusion than inclusion. And that's not a comment on organized religion as a whole, but rather just my own individual personal experience. So it sort of shaped me from an early ages to kind of be like, well, I don't want to be like that. And the problem when you say, I don't want to be like that, is it's a negative statement that doesn't identify what you actually want to be like. And I went in actually, in part, to my religious studies degree, because I was going to be a teacher at one point.
Yes, got that. You're giving away all my notes, my friend. I was going to impress you with my note. I know you were going to be a teacher. That was my Okay, go ahead. It's like he knows this. He saw it in the stars.
I took a course in it was Religion 101, so it was a little bit of everything, and I went, oh yeah, this is where it's at. And it really, the reason I became so attracted to it is that I've been in my youth and as a grown man, I worked as a professional magician for a long time, and
got that in the notes too. I want to talk about that.
I just got to this point where I realized that, our experience is fundamentally subjective. And if it's subjective, that means that there is a degree of, there's a degree to which it can be influenced. And, like you, like everyone, I had difficult times in my life. And I wanted to figure out what's the difference between experiencing those difficult times and orientating towards success versus allowing them to apply enough pressure that a person collapse. How do we create that worldview that lets us endure intense experiences and then triumph? And I think the religion was a great example, because you've got all these different people believing things, and they have these symbols and practices and rituals that go into creating that belief. And I saw similarities between that and magic and psychology, and that's kind of what drove me in that direction.
Oh, that's fascinating. I actually, so I was thinking about you as a professional musician. Did you like go around to schools and stuff and do the whole thing?
Well, my focus was actually, even though I have experience working with children, kids don't need magic. They live in a world of magic. I mean,
that's true.
When dandelions grow every year, it is, a wondrous effect. I mean, they'll stand and watch ants crawling along the ground for hours. It's really adults that need to be shaken out of this perspective where, as a process of getting older, we kind of have to let go of wonderment to a degree in order to function in the adult world. The problem is that if you let go of too much of that, you lose your connection with your sense of meaning. And that's where magic has the ability to kind of pierce in through the matrix and say, hey, there's a point to all of this, and it's possible to be connected to that, to feel that on the day-to-day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was thinking it's not a huge step between magic and then tarot cards and astrology, because you do have to suspend a little bit of disbelief and kind of allow yourself to believe it. I think it's more with magic than it is with tarot cards, but if you do if you do believe in it, it does kind of lead you in the right direction. I think so. I've been having these tarot card readings, and I feel like I believe them.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Johnny. Think about this. So I don't believe in magic in the sense that I'm not, I'm not going to cast a spell and levitate in front of you. That, I mean, I think we can both agree that's probably craziness. But more, and Alan Moore actually has a wonderful, for anyone listening who's interested in this kind of stuff. Alan Moore, the comic book writer who did V for Vendetta and he has a wonderful, I think it's like an hour video explaining his, he came out at 40 as a magician, and he goes into all the psychology behind it. And the big thing that a ceremonial magician, I should qualify. And the big thing is he's talking about, it's the manipulation of symbolic structures. So it's not, you're not changing they're not changing the tangible world around you. You're changing your relationship to it. So for example, we all have a lucky shirt, or a lucky ring, or a lucky whatever. We have that item of clothing that we wear when we're going out, we're going on a first date or a job interview or whatever it is, and we tend to do a little bit better if we're prepared in that way. Well, magic is really just the study of why does that happen, and how can I make that stronger? Now that's my belief. There are other people who believe more in a fundamentalist conception where there's, measurable energies. That's not my worldview. I tend to kind of take it more of a, it's the operating system that runs our mind, if that makes a bit more sense.
Absolutely. I have a lucky thong I wear for first dates.
Yeah, you get it. You understand.
Yeah. I just feel freer and more myself.
Well, I was going to ask, because I think that, symbols play such an important role in everybody's life. And I've been watching your stream for a while. I was actually telling a friend of mine that when you're not on, it throws my morning jam out. I like to get up and have a coffee and throw on Johnny Now. And I know that, you talk a lot about the glow up. And I wanted to ask you, what does the glow up mean to you?
I'm having I had thoughts of that today too, and I feel bad because I've dropped the ball. I haven't streamed twice this week. I don't even know if I'm going to stream tomorrow, and I do feel like I'm this pressure I'm letting people down. But the glow up, I just want to feel like a regular good person, but I do have these behaviors that I got hammered last night, and I'm not happy about who I am when I do that. And I don't know. I feel like what is the glow up to me? I don't know. I don't even know. So I kind of had a existential not breakdown, but a breakthrough today where I'm what is the glow up? Is it just because I went through a breakup? Is it because of this? Do I actually want to be a good person? Do I want to find the meaning of life? So I don't know. I'm really searching with that right now. I like to think I want to be a good person. Yeah. But being bad is so good too, though. It's so much fun. That's the problem, is that I had 3 cigarettes last night. I hadn't had cigarettes in 7 months. And I know you used to be a big smoker.
It's true. Yeah. I used to smoke 2.5 packs a day.
2.5, yeah. Yeah. But the problem is my voice sounds so fucking sexy right now.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, I feel
that's the hook. It's hard to get rid of.
Yeah, I feel like Tom Waits. But actually, that's... I do want to talk to you about hypnotism, because you used hypnotism to cure your. But we'll get into that. But what is the glow up? What I don't know. I have this image of what I'll be and who I am, but you never know the shit that just comes out of left field, and all of a sudden you feel like not a good person.
Well, I mean, I think the key is there's sort of this weird. When you talk about this stuff, and I'm sure you kind of experienced this as well. I mean, you're a leader to a community. People show up. Even though you're on your own adventure, then ups and downs. There's something that you bring to the community that we all kind of we're participating in, right? We're coming in and we're watching the changes that are happening in your life and the hustle that you're putting forward. And I think that like one of the difficulties that when it comes to talking about things like making change is that there tends to be this idea of like we can fall into the trap of the expert, right? That there are other experts, or there's like the right way and the wrong way. And I have to tell you, personally and professionally, I've never met an expert in my life. I've never met, a psychologist or psychiatrist or another service provider who isn't wrestling with their own sort of like struggles, their own like, maybe they give good advice, but they don't necessarily live the good advice, or they've got good, they're really amazing at
that's my stream
finances, but they're
that's my fucking stream. And I try to rationalize it by saying that like, hey, at least I'm open and honest about like falling off the horse all the time. But yeah, it's weird. I'm very good at giving advice, but following it is fucking brutal. But that makes me feel better.
I think though that I don't think having a perfect life is necessary, to giving. I mean, I certainly don't have the perfect life. There's the classic, physician heal thyself kind of adage that comes into play. But at the same time, I think that we, through our experiences and through hard-won experiences where you overcome things, you're able to have a unique perspective that you sort of share with other people. So, I mention that because when you talk about the glow up and kind of getting confused, I think that that's a process that everybody kind of goes through, where what does it mean when I'm chasing this notion of perfection and at the same time still engaging in behaviors that I don't want to engage in? And then, where is that, does that jeopardize then the goal, and what does that all mean? And I think that, I think that it definitely, makes me think of the hero's journey. Are you familiar at all with it?
Yeah, there's the movies all the time, right?
Yeah, so Joseph Campbell was a religious studies guy, and he wrote this book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, and he charts all these major turning points in every kind of big, movie or story. So a great example would be, I know you like The Sopranos. I'm a Sopranos fan myself.
Hell yeah.
Right? And
hell yeah.
So there's like the call to like adventure, right? So that's where basically the world is saying it's time to pull up your socks and take on a Herculean task. So in The Sopranos, it's where he goes, at the very beginning, Tony almost dies, right? He's having these panic attacks. And that's the world saying, you have to make a change. And at first he refuses the call. He says, I'm not going to do it. He tries and he goes back. And then eventually he accepts responsibility and he goes, okay. And he starts to see that counselor. And slowly, through working with his counselor, who actually represents she's like the supernatural aid in some respects. The more he works with her, you start to see those character changes and that arc starts to develop. And so, yeah, when I think about your story and some of the things that you're talking about, it reminds me of like the road of many trials. Like you've left the domain that right? The charted domain of what you understand, the cage experience of things you've done before, and now you're in this like crazy place. You've crossed the threshold. You're in the belly of the whale, the road of many trials, where it's like, I'm not sure which direction. I just have to keep plodding forward. And that's a tough place to be because it requires the cultivation of faith. And I don't mean necessarily in a deity, but the faith that you can respond to whatever comes your way. And that's not a conversation that happens really ever. And so it's like, everyone is sort of left to try to discover that process on their own. And it's difficult.
It's a daunting task. I think you would make a great teacher because you just you got me to understand and pay attention just by dropping the Sopranos reference. You are a smart. That is smart. But yeah, it's weird. I actually, before the cage and even afterwards, I pretended I didn't, but I smoked weed all day, 8 bowls, 9 bowls a day, and I think I just instead of finding that right path or even going forward and doing the call to action, I think I just tried to mask it up with substance, which I can't even say that word, but no, it's interesting. And I think right now maybe I'm just panicking so much because I don't know, it's, oh my God, whenever I just start to panic, I miss just smoking a big fat bowl and forgetting about it. But we got to take these journeys, right, my friend?
That's the thing, you know. I mean, I think, yeah, marijuana, Mary Jane, she's a cruel mistress because she offers that ability to take that break, and it's like the whole world disappears in, you know, envelops in smoke, and then it's just about, you know, the cartoons or video games or whatever it is that you're rocking out, and you know, I can appreciate that, but I think if the hero's journey has anything to tell us, it's that growth and change are never comfortable, but that ultimately that they're worth it. And I think about like, I love, I do talk with a lot of type A personalities, and I do love them, but I will say that I find that oftentimes we'll be chatting and, you know, they'll say, well, I love change. And the reality is that nobody loves change.
No.
Change is miserable because it's uncomfortable. It requires a death of the self. And the process of rebirth is you're like learning to do things it's like feeling like a child, but as an adult. And it's such a hard process to kind of persevere forward through. And it's even more difficult because, you know, at least when you're a kid, if you're lucky enough to have supportive parents, then you'll get that pat on the back, or a teacher, or some sort of adult figure. But as an adult, where do we get that? And we're not really taught to either give that to ourselves or to the people around us. I mean, how many of us have had a job where we feel like we're underappreciated or that nobody sees the work that we put in?
Oh yeah.
Right? And so you're left in this process of trying to learn how to self-parent, but you're given no roadmap as to how to do that.
Yeah, and it's tough, and then you try to rely on like your parents' methods, but it's impossible for me to pick myself up by the collar and throw myself through a wall. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I like my daddy. I'm just kidding. He only did it a few times. Man. He only did it a few times. Yeah, I deserved it every time, but a nice guy.
You caught me on that. I didn't see that coming.
I don't know what you're. I can't believe we're like live streaming because I feel like we're having like a deep connection there. You tapped into something deep there. But this is interesting because I watched one of your streams on Tuesday, and I was lurking and a little jerking, my friend. You're a very handsome guy, but you don't like goal setting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll admit it was a bit of a dirty trick because in the end, I end up talking about goal setting. But I think that the problem with the problem with goal setting is that you have to. The part that's always talked about is that people will say, well, you have to set a goal. But what we don't talk about is how do you actually set that goal? And it's not just about picking something randomly, right? Is that the goal has to be really aligned with your values. And again, another conversation is that we don't sit down and we often don't talk about like what actually are our values and why are those things our values? Which reminds me, I don't know if you were there for, I went on a rant about mission statements because
on companies
and mission statements would drive me crazy because I just thought they all sound the same until I was actually a part of creating a company mission statement, and I realized that what was really going on is that mission statement really is internal, even though it's displayed, and that when you finally arrive at what the truth is, you've got this long, paragraph or 4 pages of explanation of like what truth means to you. And that's the part I think that when we're setting our goals that we don't really do is we don't sit down and actually establish what's our compass. And that's why, there's a lot of fluff talk, I think, about like set a goal. But if you don't know who it is that you want to be, if you haven't defined what your North Star is, and what you don't want to be like, then how do you know if that goal is aligned with your values enough that you will be able to endure? And this is what happens when you set a goal, but you don't know your why. Eventually, external context and pressure will reach a point where where you will stop. Now, there's a line in a play. It's a play about witches.
Burn 'em.
I can't remember what it's called now. It'll probably come to me. But in this line, there's this character, I believe his name is Corey. And they're trying to, it's about the Salem witch trial. And they're trying to like force this guy to basically give names, to name names. And he's like old school. So the way they would do this is they would put like a giant rock on your chest and they would basically press you to death. And
that rules.
In this play, they're like, all you gotta do is just like put up a few names. And of course, this Corey guy, he knows it's bullshit. And all he does is look him straight in the eyes and say, more weight. And when I read that, I mean, I'm surprised I didn't crack, actually. Every time I tell people, I actually crack a little bit sometimes. I'm keeping it together because it's something about it really connects deeply. And it's the idea that when you really know your why, what you believe in, no amount of suffering or difficulty is going to prevent you from achieving it. But if you haven't defined that, then your goal is just a hopeful wish.
Damn, I'm actually really glad you mentioned that, because you're right. I don't think I've really made my mission statement clear. I think you're right. Like, why do you want to be this certain, why are you searching towards this goal? That's really interesting. God damn, you're profound. God damn. God damn. Now I'm like ah, like who am I? Why do I drink so much? But I want to talk about hypnotism, because you do. So you can hypnotize people. I did some research on it. I used to think it was BS.
Yeah, me too.
I totally thought it was BS, but I used to live with these Arab guys back in the day, and we went to a triple X hypnotist. Now, they couldn't do that show nowadays because it's just called assault. But my Egyptian friend, who was, he thought, if anything other than, he was very, very straight. Like, he thought, I don't know, you listen to a certain type of music, you're gay. If you want the girl to come, you're gay. Like, it's a different world over there, right?
Yeah.
I did not believe hypnotism until he got hypnotized on stage and was licking whipped cream off another man's butt. I couldn't believe it. And that day on, I was like, oh, hypnotism's fucking real. Like, yeah, it's crazy. So, like, I did some research on it today. Is it just the power of suggestion, or is it a different state of consciousness, or is it just a focus thing? Is it like you can just get super focused and then, like you thought it was, it didn't work, but then tell us about how you got into hypnotism with the smoking.
Yeah, I mean, so what happened was I was smoking 2.5 packs a day.
God damn.
And
God damn.
Oh, it was gross.
That's awful.
Now, to my credit, I'll have to admit, I was in I like to call it an undergraduate literary society to class up the fact that it was a fraternity, but it was an amazing fraternity. It was arguably a magical lodge without recognizing it. And
so you're smoking, anyway, drinking coffee, right? And like, it's the aesthetic.
Yeah, if you've ever seen Dead Poets Society, it was that was guys getting together wanting to talk about the meaning of life, and there was obviously beer and cigarettes, and Jarum cigarettes were our smoke of choice, and I certainly smoked a lot of them. Twice the nicotine, twice the tar, guaranteed to kill you.
God damn.
Yeah, so I remember I was walking up this flight of stairs, and I could literally see the vein popping out of my neck, and I went, well, this isn't, I'm not gonna make it. And but I couldn't stop. I was using cigarettes, and I believed I was addicted. Oh my goodness, I really was like, I am addicted, I can't stop. And if anyone would have argued with me about that addiction, I would have told them to take a hike and said, you don't understand the experience. And then I had this hypnotic experience, and it was like that, done. Essentially, what it did was it reframed my perspective. And there is an effect when you stop smoking nicotine or taking nicotine in, you do experience a withdrawal, but the withdrawal is it's very slight. It's actually just a feeling of hunger, which is easily ignorable. The irritation, all the anxiousness, all of that is all psychological, right? And there was things that happened in this hypnosis where it clicked, and I went from being someone who smokes to being a non-smoker, and I haven't touched them since. And it's been 15 years. Did
a guy hypnotize you, or did you read a book, or what did it feel?
That's actually the crazy thing. Was that I read a book. And the book is designed to be hypnotic. And then it kind of, what it does, it converted me, but I wasn't a full conversion. I was like, okay, this is kind of a thing. And then I as a magician was using hypnosis, and then when I would do readings and things, I would use suggestion. I I do an artificial seance. So I tell people that the seance is not real. I use suggestion, and everything that you're going to experience is an illusion, but it's so strong and put together in such a way that even though I'm telling you right now it's not real, you're going to argue with me. And that's what happens when you construct a reality in such a way that's so strong enough, it becomes a person's reality. And this is what companies have done with cigarettes. It's advertising. There's many things that go into why you smoke that have nothing to do with the nicotine.
Because it's cool. It looks cool. That's exactly it. That's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't even taste good.
What's that?
Doesn't even taste good. It just looks cool.
Well, and that's the big thing, right? Is like it doesn't taste good. You have to teach yourself to smoke. And what I learned through my hypnotherapy instruction is that things like pain are also subjective. Now, everyone experiences the hypnotic phenomenon differently. I look at it like a muscle. And what that means is, because I actually had very weak hypnotic muscles. Like the book nailed it. There was something, it got in there, it activated my anger for towards companies and advertising and the man. And I think that's why it took such a strong hold. But in other areas, I become hypercritical. And through my training, I learned how to just trust and allow the process. Because the reason hypnosis is so powerful is it addresses both the body and the mind. Most interventions are only addressing your brain. They're just talking about the things that you think. But what you think is affected by how you feel. So if you're feeling stressed, well, your thoughts are probably going to be racing and distorted. And all we do is go, well, I'm going to address your thoughts. Well, why not attack the body at the same time and actually get a solution? So what I tell people is that oftentimes there is the strong possibility of the miracle solution. We'll talk and it will be done. However, other people, such as myself, need to practice lifting the muscle, right? You get stronger and stronger. And then there are some people where it's just not the right time. And that's kind of how I look at it. But I was going to say, I kind of wanted to, the best thing to do is, if you're open to it, I brought a couple things.
Hell yeah.
Here, and if you want, I can kind of demonstrate a couple.
You want to try and hypnotize me? I'm down.
Well, I thought before we do that, if you'll allow me, I know you've been read before, but I thought I'd lead in with that, and then
I've been you want you want to do a tarot reading?
Well, it kind of a combination of the two. They kind of go together. I often combine these things, so it's not just one. It's sort of we start off again with the thinking, and then we deal with the body.
Let's do it. And for the folks at home, we got to check out your Facebook page, because there you can book appointments to have you do motivational interviews, you do readings. What are some of the other services? Just so people, I guess we haven't really talked about that.
Yeah, so I do the hypnosis, I do tarot, I do motivational interviewing. I also do something called it's like symbolic modeling. And then there's like other kind of like tips and techniques that aren't part of a specific intervention. But my main focus is on asking questions. It really is about connecting. I don't have the answers for everyone. You have the answer. But I do have practice at asking and kind of trying to getting underneath some of the assumptions that you have about your world and what you might think is real and might actually just be an illusion. And I use, sometimes I use magic to kind of demonstrate my point, right? You think it's here, and in the same way that you think it's here and it's not, you're putting too much weight on an idea that's just as ephemeral.
And your intention's always to lead people in a good way too. So that's what your goal is as well. So I just want to get the plugs in before you hypnotize me, and then I'm yelling off the balcony or something.
Yeah. Well, what I'm going to do is I thought we would do just a very quick reading, which I think might provide with a little bit of direction.
Let's fucking do it.
Certainly, something more comprehensive would take more time, and then we could finish up with something called the arrow technique. And what it does is allow you to sort of separate your, if you're feeling any anxiety or any, it's really actually used for physical pain. Like it takes headaches away like nothing else. But it's also good if you're having trouble sleeping, if you have anxiety.
I haven't slept this week. I haven't slept at all this week. I think I'm going to die. I think I'm going to die. So I want to talk about this. Let's do this.
Let's do that. Now, I just want to be very mindful of the time. Are we a hard deadline for that 6 o'clock mark?
No,
okay.
I was more worried about you. We got, yeah, so let's...
I have a few extra minutes, so then we can make sure we do a solid job.
Hell yeah, let's do this. Awesome.
All right, so I have all my kind of stuff right here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just switch to another screen here. Give me a second.
Oh, cool. This is great. Oh, this is awesome.
I got my notes there. So
and this is what the people would see if they book an interview with you, and go to your Twitch as well.
What's that?
This is the view, like if you were to book an interview on Zoom or when you stream on Twitch. This is something the folks at home can expect, right? This kind of view.
Yeah, so I bounce
awesome.
back and forth between a couple of different camera angles. So you'll see the one where it's it's just me. Then you'll see this one. So if I'm doing something with the cards, you're going to see this. It all depends on kind of what we're doing.
Awesome. This is awesome. I'm actually excited.
Graphics as well. So just to kind of demonstrate what's going on. So this is the Rider-Waite deck. It comes about 1910. Specifically, this is called the Centennial Deck, and excuse me, it's true to the Pamela Colin Smith, her original intentions as it relates to the color scheme and things. They have this beautiful. This is called a. Oh, you can't. There we go. The Tudor Rose, or there we go. The Tudor Rose. That's that there. I really like them. So,
awesome.
Ritual is important. There are things that I do. In a moment, I'm just going to center myself. It's not. Well, I go back and forth. Like when it comes to beliefs, if I break my leg, I'm going to go to a hospital. But if I'm diagnosed with an incurable disease, I'm probably going to pray to some sort of deity. So when I'm doing tarot, I kind of flip and put on a different hat. And because I find, that's the best approach, say, versus, trying to do like a Sherlock Holmes, body language reading thing. So I just kind of go into that space. So if you'll allow me to do that for a moment.
Absolutely.
Okay. And we'll just do a 3-card reading here.
Please don't be death. Sure. Please don't be death.
I have to, there we go. Okay. So the first card, this is going to represent where you are now. This is going to represent a potential obstacle coming your way. And then this will be your outcome. All right, my friend, these are fantastic cards.
I need some good luck.
There's a bit of nervousness, I have to read honestly, but at the same time, one wants to be able to deliver good news.
I always get the Fool. Sorry, okay, we'll talk with that.
Have you had the Fool before?
Yeah, I think I am a fool. That's the thing. But we'll talk after. Do your reading them because I got some questions about the Fool.
Fair enough. Okay, so there's a bunch of different symbolism associated with the card. So we're going to start off here in the you now position. This is called the Lord of Established Strength, okay? And it is associated with the astrological sign of the Sun in Aries. So, and also too, it's wands. Wands are like fire, passion, creativity. Now, what's actually interesting about this card specifically is that every card has a timeline associated with it. So the sky is broken up into 360 degrees, and there are, and then further broken up into sort of 12 divisions, with each division having, 10 degrees in them. So the 12 astrological signs, and each sign has sort of 3 cards associated with it. All you need to know about that is that there are very specific timelines connected to these. This particular one is March 21st. March. Give me a second here. March 21st to 30. March 31st to April 10th. Okay. The Two of Wands is in the same area. So March 21st to April 10th. What are we?
25th today?
I'm just checking the date, so we're the 25th. Yeah, so we're almost coming into this. I said 21st and I meant 31st. So we're coming into this you now position. Now, the dates aren't exact, so it's counting for today, but it's also really speaking towards that up until like the April 10th kind of timeline. And it's talking about standing on a hill and sort of like you're looking out. And this is a card of liminal space. What it's saying is that you're beginning this journey, right? And I mentioned earlier that I thought maybe you were in the road of many trials, right? The starting of this this grand adventure and all of the things that are coming your way. Now, the difficulty with this card is that the world is your oyster. There are a lot of directions you can choose.
Oh, yeah.
That's also the part that makes it so hard, is that you're not sure what your focus is. So when you look at this card, he can see everything. He can see well off into the distance. Now, it is associated with the traveler. And so that can be a physical traveling, but I think in this case, it's more of an emotional traveling, about moving forward, about crossing that threshold and beginning the adventure, moving towards the direction that you really want to be going in. So again, established strength is also the title given to it by the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. So if we look at you, what this is telling me is that you are reaching a place. You may not feel it, but you have an established strength, that these experiences of difficulty and suffering have been like the tempering of the samurai sword, right? There's that idea of the folded sword that gets put into the fire and folded 1,000 times. And it's through that process, through the intense pressure and heat, that the coal is transformed into the diamond. And what this tells me is that this person who's about to go on this journey has the capacity to succeed, that you have in fact read the map, charted the course, reservations taken care of, and you're in that place of learning to believe, to have that faith that you can and will reach your final destination. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I fucking hate this. This is too much. That's spot on. And oh God, that's deep. I'm not gonna sleep tonight now, but that's pretty. Yeah, that's spot on. And I'm glad. Makes me realize this suffering meant something.
I always tell people, I mean, in this case, you're lucky because we're recording it, but I always tell people, take note of the dates. So again, it is March 31st to April 10th. And between now and then, so between now and April 10th, there will be a clarifying thing that is likely to happen to you. So whether it's a case of you sitting down and really identifying that that compass, there's something about this that goes, this is the direction that I'm going. So definitely a really positive card. Now, the Fool is the obstacle. The Fool is something that has to be overcome. Now, you had mentioned that the Fool comes up for you. The Fool isn't foolish, though. It's not foolish. This card is connected to the major arcana. So these are the big secrets, the major turning points in our life. And the Fool represents oftentimes the beginning of the journey. And so I think what it's saying is that the toughest part about the journey for you is actually the initiating, which would mean that once you get going with things, that you tend to actually be quite successful. One of the hard parts is that I've picked it and now I'm starting. So I don't know if this relates, but when you were talking about kind of the smoking and kind of getting stuck in the haze, that would be a really great example of difficulty with initiation, or I'm not sure what direction to go. The other difficulty with the Fool as a card that has to be overcome is it's wanting to go in a bunch of different directions and not knowing enough about those directions. So the thing about the Fool is that he just sort of goes out into the world, and he has there's an open-mindedness. There's an ability to just kind of let go and trust. And your difficulty is that you have to let go and trust. You have to stop asking yourself, what is the proof of my success? And instead focus on the fact that you will be successful. It's not about whether or not you smoked yesterday. It's about whether or not you get back up today. You have to focus on the things that you can control, and your successes need to be connected to how quickly can you bring yourself, how quickly can you right the ship, not whether or not the ship falls over. And that's the hard thing is that we've been taught, unfortunately, repetitively, arguably through the school system and other places through the school system, that your success is a pass or fail, and that's utter garbage. The success that you experienced in your cage, the success that you may see that this job interview, you may view it, you were talking about feeling like you dropped the ball, but in reality, this is a part of the learning process. It was a necessary experience for you to be able to hone and sharpen the edge of the knife for that next experience, and there will be one shortly around the corner. So for you, the difficulty is having the faith of the fool, to blindly trust that you're going to be okay and that you're not going to fall off the ledge. Now, the positive thing is that you come to the King of Wands. And this, my friend, is a leader of men. The King of Wands, associated with wands, is creativity, energy, and action. I see this as a card of project management, about being a leadership, having a creative vision, not just for yourself, but for other people. The question it asks you, and I would ask you as it relates to the concept of your glow up, as you start to define what that means for you, is what is a glow up not just to you, but what is it to your community? What does that transformation bring to everyone around you? Because the king is in servitude not just to himself, but to others as well. And that's what elevates him above the common people, is that he becomes an icon of something more than himself. So when I see this card, it is definitely the reaching of mastery. It is the atonement with the Father. It is becoming, this autonomous, individual, mature self, not as other people see you. Other people already see you that way, but rather as you see yourself in the mirror when you get up every morning, regardless of how the day goes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's Jesus. I fucking needed to hear this. This is, yeah. This shit is real, my friends. This is real. This is profound. You didn't use your sleight of hand to pick those cards to butter me up, did you?
I did not, my friend.
Jesus Christ, man. I think I might weep tonight. That is but that is a good, I needed to hear that. That is a, God damn. I don't often get speechless, but I needed to hear that today. Even the king one, the court, and the what my glow up means to, God damn.
Well, let's see what we can do about the sleep.
God damn. Ah! This is wild. This is insane.
So when it comes to sort of, like I said, hypnosis, what we're doing, the best definition I've ever heard of hypnosis comes from a guy, his name is James Tripp, and he talks about hypnosis, and I've altered a little bit, I've added something to it, but the hypnosis is the altering of a person's subjective experience through verbal and nonverbal communication. Okay, no, actually, that's his definition, I think, exactly. So it's the altering of your subjective experience through verbal and nonverbal communication. So your experience right now, if you imagine, your mind is like, your body is like the hard drive of a computer, okay? So you've got the hard drive, and the thoughts that you think are the software. And when you run into trouble, it's like having Windows 95, right? And it's crashing, and it's, we're in 2021, Windows 95 is like, it's not working. Oh yeah. We need to update it. And the way that we update it is that we're altering your subjective experience by activating your imagination. So your imagination, I laugh when I think about sort of modern psychology, and it treats the imagination as though it was some sort of simple curiosity, The mind is a black box, and isn't it odd that we have dreams and thoughts? But the reality is that our ability to imagine is what creates our reality. People imagine going to the moon, and we've gone to the moon. They imagined creating cell phones, we have cell phones. A year ago, it would have been considered an impossibility to create a vaccine in the timeline with which we've now created, 6 or 7 of them? Our imagination has the capacity to solve an infinite amount of problems, and it certainly has the ability to solve yours. But it takes practice. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lead you through a process where we just take all that nasty emotion and we let it go.
Oh, please, okay? Please.
Yeah. and like I said, I don't know if you could be the miracle subject where we snap our fingers and you're done. But if you're not, if you're like me and you got to work on those muscles, it's recorded. So just rewind it and listen to that part again and again. I use this to put myself to sleep.
So. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Do I have to should I get comfortable or?
Yeah, you're going to want to sit comfortable. It doesn't take long to do. The biggest thing that I need you to do is just to relax and imagine and feel the things I ask you to relax and imagine.
All right, I'm ready. And I'm going to use this tonight too.
Excellent. Okay, so you can just take a nice deep breath in and just let your eyes close. Perfect. That's right. And I just want you to allow yourself just to relax. And you're just going to focus for a moment on those teeny tiny muscles around your eyes. And you can just let those muscles relax and let go. Imagine what it would be like if they were so relaxed, they just don't work. Just imagine it and allow that imagination to take over automatically. And as you imagine and allow yourself to experience that level, that sensation of relaxation, notice now how it just starts to spread from your eyes to the other muscles in your face, your neck, and your shoulders. That sense of relaxation just washes over you like a wave. And as I continue to talk to you, you can continue to breathe in a way that's comfortable and relaxed. And there might be sounds in the room around you. You'll find that these things only help you to focus further on what I'm asking you to imagine and feel. Imagine and see yourself in that chair now as you sit listening to my voice. Imagine now that you can actually separate from your body. The essence of who you are begins to separate and float upwards. And you can see that essence floating higher and higher as you look down at your body. And you float higher and higher through the ceiling, up into the evening sky. All the way up, floating higher and higher and higher, all the way up and out. And as you float so high, higher than the sky now, all the way out into space, so that you can see in front of you now the beautiful blue and green earth below. And it's a beautiful sight. And now in between you and that earth is a giant archery target with its colored bands, and in the center, a bullseye. And I want you to imagine now any stress, any tension, any emotional pain that you have. I want you to visualize it in your mind, give it a color, give it a name, give it a shape. And whatever that color or shape is, trusting that your mind, your unconscious mind, knows what to do. I want you to place all of that pain and that suffering in the center of that bullseye now. See it there. Because in a moment, we're going to take it all away. In a moment, when you hear this sound, you're going to shoot straight through that center. And I need you to be brave, because when you shoot through the center, you're going to experience those emotions intensely. They're going to be uncomfortable, and then they'll be gone, floating in a perfect place of bliss. So I need you to be brave. I need you to be ready. In a moment, you're going to shoot right through that bullseye. Getting ready. Right through, and floating now in a perfect place of bliss. In that wonderful place, free from any cares, any discomfort, any worry. And as you float in that beautiful space, you can see all the people you care about, all the people in your world that you love and that love you. And their love is beautiful, like a beautiful white light. A light so bright like 10,000 suns, and you can feel it shining on you, and it feels good. And taking that light now and condensing it into a tiny little ball of pure love. And taking that love and pulling it now inside yourself, right into your heart, as you see and imagine that heart pumping that love all throughout the entirety of your body, clearing out any residual thoughts of discomfort, anxiety, or pain, washing out your mind, allowing you to be perfectly present and in the moment as you float in that wonderful space, enjoying the bliss of unconditional love, of that love that you don't have to work for, of that love that's always been there and always will be. And now, taking that feeling, you begin to float back down slowly through the sky. You're going to float back down into the room, but not yet into your body. Just drifting and dropping lower and lower, feeling more and more fantastic the lower you go. And just floating now into the room across from where you're sitting. You can see your body sitting in that chair. And as you look at yourself from across the room, just seeing the change that's happened, feeling the change that has happened, the shift that has taken place, seeing a man now sitting in that chair, born anew. And only as quickly as you come to realize all those shifts and changes, that ability to let go of the past and the stress and the trauma, only as quickly as those changes are able to integrate into every level of your being, do you float back into your body, taking all the time that you need to wonder and experience what's possible. And just coming back now into your body. Now in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. As I do, you're going to slowly bring yourself out of hypnosis. On 5, you're going to open your eyes, feeling rested, refreshed, and relaxed. 1. Slowly, calmly, easily, and gently, once again, returning to your full awareness. 2. Every muscle and nerve in your body feeling loose and relaxed, and you feeling wonderfully good. 3, from the top of your head to your toes, feeling perfect in every way, physically perfect, mentally perfect, emotionally perfect, calm and secure. You're going to have a fantastic sleep tonight. 4, your eyes feel sparkling clear as if your face were bathed in cool spring water. Getting ready now. And 5, you can open your eyes, fully alert, and take a nice deep breath in. Stretch.
Holy fuck.
Wow. How you feeling?
I honestly, at one point I forgot the stream was on. That was nuts. I didn't think I'd be susceptible to that, but right towards the end there, wow. It felt like I was asleep. Fuck.
It's a trip, right?
I'm gonna rewatch this tonight to go to bed. You should do a YouTube thing of that. I'd listen to that every night. That was actually amazing.
Okay.
Did anyone do it at home?
Sorry?
Did anyone in the chat do that at home? Oh my god, dude, that was really nice. Holy.
Well, thank you.
God damn.
It's like I said, I'm a hard convert because I really didn't believe and then I experienced it, so I get it.
Wow. Thank God. I feel like this was meant to happen today because I haven't been sleeping, and I feel like, God damn, that was the most restful few moments. How long was that? That was very restful.
Yeah, I think maybe like 5-10 minutes.
Holy shit.
It's pretty quick. Yeah.
Woo!
That's what's weird about hypnosis is you can get some major time distortion. So, like for instance, if we did a whole session, because you work on habits with hypnosis, you can work on stress, anxiety. There's a bunch of different things that it's good for. And I've done hour sessions, both personally experienced and facilitated, and you'd swear they're 20 minutes, and you pop up. And there's actually a bunch of really weird hypnotic phenomena. Like I cry, like my eyes water and I yawn a lot when I'm being hypnotized. So you get a lot of automatic sort of experiences that happen that are like really trippy.
That was so comfortable. That was, damn. Do you ever do any sessions where like I could call before bed and you can talk me to sleep and then just shut it down and I'll just PayPal you in the morning?
We can talk about it.
That actually is a really good idea. Wow. Okay, my friend, that was incredible. So I know, hopefully you still got a couple more minutes because I like to open up the chat to have a few questions, just rapid fire your way. That was incredible.
10 more minutes and then
Okay, yeah, perfect. Can we go to the chat, my friends? Is there any questions here for John D. Gatsby? That was yeah, please chat, do the work for me because I'm ready to go to sleep, my friend. That is amazing. Any questions, my friend? Half-ass belief. Is he John Lennon? Don't listen to those people. That's come on, real questions, my friends. But man, that was actually incredible. I don't know what to say. My question is, Gatsby, where is the sexy shirt I like tonight? Oh my God, there.
That must be cosmic.
Yeah, I read them before proofreading them. But also, can you please record that so I can listen to it before bed? I really think you should. And your voice is just it's incredible. Like it's your delivery and it's like you could do ASMR. That's incredible. It's way better than ASMR. Did you get rid of your toothy oh God. I had some. This goes on YouTube. I don't want to talk about. I had some terrible dreams with women with sharp teeth. Okay, but I'm not. They're asking about that. Waxy says, any plans on making a YouTube channel for things like hypnosis for viewers to come back to?
Yeah. I mean, it's all on the table. I've been streaming for about I think it's like roughly a month now. So, and I've like my plan is, obviously we're looking for. I think I need like I don't know. I think it's like 23, 20. I don't know. I'm close to getting to the 50 follower mark. And it's just about me figuring out the technology. I'm going to try and get a Stream Deck, and then I can, bounce around and do stuff.
Oh, you can switch the screens up, yeah.
What's that?
And you can switch like the screens up so we can see like that's a great idea.
I have this problem where every time I get on, I like am talking and there's no sound, and then I like, oh right, mic. So yeah, YouTube is definitely, I plan on putting things out there. It's just a matter of getting all the ducks in a row and figuring out the Twitch but I've been saving VODs and stuff like that to figure out clips and all that kind of stuff. So
no, I think it's a natural next step. And you're I watched a few of your streams. You do about 2 hours, 3 hours, and you are smooth and calming and entertaining the entire time. Like there's not a dull moment. It's very relaxing. I have a question. Will Gatsby come to Johnny and I's wedding? I do like Cosmic. Will you come to the wedding? Chris says, do you think I'll be massive successful? That's a weird question because I don't even know if I want to be massive. Just hopefully successful in something.
Like, asking if you will be massive?
That's what Chris is asking, yeah. So I think I'll be successful in something.
I'm not sure what's more successful than a king. So I think
hell yeah, baby.
I think of all the
hell yeah.
And I think too, because like you can get a king in there's the King of Swords, which is all about thinking. There's the King of Cups, but like really, I mean, you got the King of Wands, which is a card of creativity. And I think that as a content creator, as with all the things that you do in all the different ways. I mean, I saw your meditation video, and I think it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, so, thank you.
Yeah, oh totally. And even just watching you, like I have a real appreciation for your the ability for you to pull all those things together for your interview. I mean, I remember I was watching, I thought it was fantastic. So I think to me, King of Wands is particularly apt. I think, yeah, absolutely, you're going to be massively successful.
Thank you. I would, every time you say that, I think you're saying King of Wand, which is like John, and I'm like, I like that, the King of Wand, baby. Shout out to the Latin world. Dr. Spector, well, we'll do this last question because we know we got to wrap up. But how did you actually get into tarot cards? Like, what drew you to it? Just the natural step?
I mean, when I was a kid, I was always interested in these sorts of things, and I wasn't using cards at the time because I didn't know any better, but I would kind of tell these predictive stories with toys that I had. So, when you're a kid and you collect seashells and, rocks that are, transparent or whatever, and I'd have friends, pick one, and then I would, I guess, I don't know, predict the Christmas presents in December or something. But I had this sort of affinity for telling stories in that way, and it just kind of grew out of that. When I was in my teens, I was telling a friend this story, and she was actually, she's a witch, practicing witch, and she read tarot, and so conversations with her. She actually, originally I was a bit of a naughty tarot reader, and she put me on the straight path and told me what I was allowed to do and what I wasn't allowed to do, otherwise it'd be bad mojo. So.
Like bad vibes.
I've stuck to that since then. So
that's so interesting. I didn't realize there was more. There was rules. Well, actually, I hung out with one witch, and I put my phone down on her altar, and she was like, "Don't you ever do that again." And I thought it was just a table, but that's so interesting. Well, John D. Gatsby, shout out your socials. I think you're gonna get to 50 followers in no time on here. This was really fascinating. I'd love to have you back on. I can listen to you talk for hours. Thank you so much for coming on. Shout out your socials, my friend.
My pleasure. I'd love feedback. My Facebook is John David Gatsby. My website is johndgatsby.com. On Twitch, I'm the man who questions. And and I'm also John Gatsby on Instagram. So, and I've set up a Discord as well at the man who questions. So, reach out, connect. I'm still figuring out schedule, but I will be on this Sunday at 7:00. So
awesome.
Time.
And he takes appointments over Zoom.
Absolutely.
Just like what we did there. And so I really think everyone should go follow and check him out. I think you're a very fascinating guy, and I can't thank you enough for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
All right, Sunday at 7. We'll see you next.
All right.
Thank you, my friend. You rule.